Hi there, this is Jeanette Comerford, and this is day 11 of my Christmas series for 2016. Today I have a really fun shaker card that I created combining two stamp sets from Lawn Fun. One is the Fairy Friends and the other one is the Baked with Love stamp set, and I just love these two together. I really wanted to create sort of like a festive Christmas bakery type of scene with these cute little fairies creating some cupcakes. So the first thing I did is I took that frame, it's a Mama Elephant frame, and I pulled out all the stamps that I thought I was going to be using, and I just made sure that they fit within the frame. So it gives me an idea if I need more or less stamps. Then I'm just taking a piece of Nita cardstock, and I adhered it down with the magnets and with a little piece of post-it paper, and I'm laying all those stamps down on the paper, making sure to leave a little bit space between all of them so I can die cut them. And I'm going to stamp them using some Simon Says Stamp black ink, and this is an ink that is Copic marker friendly. So I'm going to stamp them all out. I did ink up the stamps again and do it one more time to get a really nice dark impression. And then I'll just clean the stamps off. I just used baby wipes, and a few of the images I want to stamp a second time. So I'll be stamping the egg and the cupcake and the bowl a second time, and this is just so that I have enough elements to fill the frame of my shaker card. And I ended up stamping a third egg just in case I needed it, because it's always better to stamp things like at this point. If you think you might need them, it's better to stamp a few more than to have to go back and start restamping. So the images were all colored with Copic markers, and I pulled the color palette from the pattern paper that I'm going to be using in the card, and you'll see this a little later on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put on some Christmas music for you to listen to, and you can watch me color and listen to the music, and I'll have all the marker numbers listed on the screen as I'm using them and in the order that I'm using them. So I'll catch you at the back of the coloration to finish up the shaker card. Okay, so now that all the coloring is done, I'm going to start die cutting everything. And so I have my magnetic plate and then one of the cutting mats on top of it, and then I put my Neenah cardstock on top, and I just laid all those dies on top of the images and secured them with little strips of post-it notes. And I cut out as many as I could all at once. Anything that was sort of overlapping I couldn't cut the first time, so now I'm going to go ahead and cut them on a second run. So that way I get everything all die cut, and just be sure to take the time to line everything up and secure it with some of that post-it paper, and you should cut everything beautifully. So here's that confetti paper I was talking about. You can see the colors are all pulled from those little colored dots, and now I'm just placing again everything to kind of get an idea of where I want it all now that it's all colored in and cut out. And I will change it a little bit. You'll see it's not exactly how I'll have it at the end, but this gives you a good idea of how it's going to be. I did go ahead and take a picture of it all laid out with my iPhone so that I had sort of a record of how I had it. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that die and cut out some foiled cardstock with it. And this foiled cardstock looks so amazing when you die cut it, so I was really happy with that. So then I just measured the inside so that I could cut a piece of the pattern paper to fit inside. And here I'm just making an A2 sized card. So I'm going to adhere the paper down to that. And at this point, this is when I decided it was going to be a shaker card. So I just have some of the I guess the packaging that comes with the stamps, and I die cut that out so that it would fit inside the Madison Avenue frame. And I'll adhere the pattern paper to the center of the card, and then I will put some adhesive to the back of my frame and then adhere the piece of acetate or plastic, I guess. It's not really acetate that I used. And now I'm going to start placing all my components, and I'm going to be using glue dots. So at the beginning I was fiddling with holding the frame in place to make sure that when I put the elements in, they were going to be exactly where they needed to be when the frame was on top of it. And after doing this for a little bit of time, I did realize that I could just actually take the metal die and plonk it on top of the card, and it has an opening cut in it already, so that's what I ended up doing. So it took me a little while before I figured out I could do that. I worked this way for a while. So here you can see I took the die out, and this is going to be a lot easier for me. For the fairy, I was trying to figure out a way for her to actually be holding it so that the little icing bag would be sort of in front of her body, but it ended up being so big it was going to cover her too much, so I decided to just have her sort of on top of it, so she's sort of magically holding it. I went ahead and added another glue dot underneath her body just to make sure that she stayed down flush, and I just used my Tim Holtz tool to do that. And now I can go ahead and start laying down the rest of the components. Again, I can use that die to gauge where everything has to go. And I think this card, you could recreate it and use sort of some of the other elements that are in the stamp, the Baked with Love stamp. It would look really cute. And I'm even thinking about getting the Lawn Fawn set that has the oven in it. I think that would be kind of cute as well. So I think the possibilities are almost endless. So here I was trying again to figure out where to put that spoon. I just didn't know where to put it. And in the end, I just tucked it sort of in front of the bowl and underneath the fairy, and it looked pretty nice there. So I'm just adding the eggs, and I only used 2 of those eggs. Now I'm going to be adding some foam tape to the frame, to the back of the frame, and I'm going to be using 2 layers of it. So I just take my fun foam roll, or not fun foam, but my foam tape roll, and I cut it in half. so that I can layer one on top of the other, and that gives enough height so that the shaker components can actually shake within the shaker card. So once that was all set, I took my powder tool here and I really went over the inside of the frame and all the background and the images to make sure there was no static. And then I just put some sequins. I sort of poured them onto the center of the card because I want to be sure to place this frame right in the center. So it was easier to have the components already sitting on top of the card. And now my shaker card is almost done. I just wanted to add a little sentiment, so I used some gold foil cardstock and I used a Whimsy Christmas word die, and I cut that out, and it's just so pretty. I can't tell you how pretty it is with this foil cardstock. I think I'm going to be doing this all the time now. I just laid something heavy on top of this to make sure that it dried flat, and my shaker card is now all done. You can see the components shaking inside. I hope you enjoyed watching me create this card. I know I had a lot of fun creating it. If you want to see the products and find the links to these products, you can find all that below this video on YouTube or on my blog. Thank you so much for watching.